Hello, 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 and welcome to my podcast, Life with Jode, where we talk about anything and everything. On today's episode, we'll be talking to Charlotte, who underwent her gastric bypass in the UK. We're going to learn about how she got on post-surgery and how she's getting on to this day. So let's get into it and welcome Charlotte.
So my name's Shah. My Instagram handle is bariatric Shah. I am 36. I live in Gloucestershire. I work in customer service for a technology company, and I live with my husband, my 7-year-old daughter, and our XL bully called Tommy.
Well, like I said earlier, I have a cockapoo, and
Yeah,
they're just as bad as kids, aren't they?
they are sometimes worse, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. When they're whining or barking, and you're just like, "What do you want, you
Yeah,
princess?"
yeah. What do you want from me?
Um, so tell me a bit about your weight loss surgery. What made you have weight loss surgery and all that?
Okay, so I've always struggled with my weight since literally as long as I can remember, forever. I can remember being on a diet like at school. I tried every diet under the sun, Slimming World, more times than I care to remember. Weight Watchers, the keto diet, Dukan diet, intermittent fasting. What was the other one? Oh, the Special K diet, where you just eat a Special K. Awful, horrendous. Do
I
not
can
recommend.
imagine that one.
I suffer with PCOS, which is polycystic ovary syndrome, so that makes you gain weight and it's really hard to lose weight. So it was just always going to be a struggle for me. I went to the doctors several times, multiple, probably like 100 times it felt like. They just kept referring me to Slimming World, and then in the end, I said to them, I can't do Slimming World again. It's not working. So they referred me to the specialist weight management team, and it was a 3.5 year process, something like that. But the end goal was to have the weight loss surgery, so we went for that, and I had the Roux-en-Y gastric bypass instead of the gastric sleeve.
So, what made you choose a bypass over a sleeve?
So I suffered with like acid reflux, so the bypass was the better option for me. And literally, as soon as I had the surgery, the reflux just completely stopped. So
That was one of my reasons why I chose a bypass
was
over a
it?
sleeve because of the acid reflux.
Yeah,
Also, I know that it's a lot easier to stretch a sleeve than it
yeah,
is a bypass.
yeah,
And I know that I emotionally binge eat, so
yeah.
like
I feel you.
the thought of potentially trying to stretch it obviously you can stretch a bypass, but it's a bit harder.
It's harder, yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Overeating is a big thing, which I know it is. It feels almost impossible now with the other side of the surgery. But before the surgery, I was thinking I could possibly stretch a sleeve, and I have heard as well of people who have had a sleeve and then had it changed to a bypass. So I thought
Yeah,
I
there's a
don't want
lot
to
of
go through that
reversing
again.
surgeries at the minute where
Yeah.
people have had a sleeve, it's worked, but then they've started piling on weight again, so then they've decided to go back and have a bypass. Was there kind of like a reason behind you being overweight?
So I think the main thing for me is the PCOS, and
Yeah.
then I've always been aware of my weight, like I said, like from when I was at school, but as I got into like my teenage years, I noticed that it would be like creeping up, and then it just got harder and harder to lose. And then I don't know if you found this, but the more you tried to lose it and it didn't come off, you would kind of whatever little weight did come off, you would be so frustrated that it wasn't enough that you would then just put it all back on like twice the amount. So it was just a constant. It was yo-yo dieting basically.
Yeah, so I actually tried Slimming World, Weight Watchers, keto, intermittent fasting. I know that dieting itself can be really hard, and then obviously I went through I think 3 different PTs over the course of about 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And it was the fact of it for me, it was the issue of you'd go to the gym,
Hmm.
you do the workout, you feel good because you get all them endorphins and everything. But then because of what I wanted to see was the weight dropping, but then obviously a lot of PTs focus on toning. So
Yeah.
instead of me losing weight, I'm toning up, but I couldn't see the scale drop. So I was
Yeah.
there like, well, I'm not achieving anything. Like,
Yeah.
what's happening here? So I ended up giving up quite a lot, and
Yeah. I did exactly the same. I would find that as soon as I started exercising, I noticed now as well because I've started running. When I run more, and like back in the day before surgery, exercise would make me put on weight. And although looking back now, it probably wasn't fat, but when you all you want is for those scale numbers to come down and you see them go up, it's just like, what's the point?
exactly.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it anymore.
It's mentally challenging.
Even now, I weigh myself every day, not because I want to see the scales come down, because I think I want to lose a little bit more, but I'm kind of at that stage where I don't need to see loads coming off, but I still need to, I weigh daily to sort of keep myself on track.
Hmm.
But when you go to like weekly or like bi-weekly, in your head you think, I'm gonna have a massive weight loss. When I get on those scales, it's gonna be massive. I really put the effort in. And then when it's not, it's like, oh my God, it gets in your head, and that.
Even though you want to obviously keep on track mentally,
Yeah,
sometimes it can be a whole different ball game. It just
yeah,
messes up
yeah,
because
it
you'll
really
freak
does.
out over the smallest of things, and that's not what you want to do.
No, joining Slimming World, I found it really affected my relationship with food because I mean, you see it all over Instagram and there's always like TikToks about it, but like if you mash a banana, you have to sin it. But if you eat a whole banana, it's free. And it's like, how does that make sense? But
Also, the banana mashes when you're eating it.
exactly, it's the same process, but
It's just oh, yeah, the whole slimming world, it gives everyone a bad relationship with food.
and it's like, why are they telling you it's a bad thing to mash a banana? Like it's a sin. I think that's a bad word anyway. Like why should food be classed as like sinful? But if you eat a banana normally, it's not a sin. You're fine. It's just honestly, it messed with my head. I did Slimming World for so long, and even now I find myself thinking I can't really eat avocado because that's a sin. It's not a free fruit, but it is. It's fine.
I always try and think of it like if you want something sweet, opt for the fruit instead of like a
Mm,
chocolate bar because the fruit is
yeah,
going to be a lot better for you and healthy
yeah,
for you, and it's natural sugars
hmm,
over a bar of chocolate that
yeah,
isn't going to be very good for you. Everyone's journeys are completely different to each other's,
hmm,
and everyone's recovery process is completely different. I know a close, well, she's now my friend. She randomly reached out to me on TikTok, I think it was, and she was
okay,
like, "Oh, I'm having a bypass in the UK. I just want to know a bit more about it." Blah 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 blah. So I was with her from like a couple of weeks before she went in, to then I kept on checking up on her, and she ended up getting pneumonia,
oh God,
and
okay,
then she was in hospital for a further week or two, and then she finally come out, and she's fine now, and that was a UK one.
yeah,
Whereas obviously at the minute all your horror stories are in Turkey. But
yeah,
it could, nowhere, no matter where you go, anything can go wrong.
yeah,
It's not necessarily where you're going that'll
no,
happen to you,
definitely.
if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that brings me on to my issues.
Go on then, enlighten us.
So, I obviously had my surgery on the NHS in England, and I came out of hospital, so I stayed in the 24 hours, which was normal. And then I came out of hospital for the week after surgery. I took it off work, and everybody says that as each day goes past, you get better and better. I was getting worse and worse. I got to like, I think it must have been a week after my surgery, and I had just a normal checkup, and I was like, I couldn't keep any fluids down. So like some people were like moving on to like soft foods and everything, and I could not even keep water down. It felt like it was hitting a brick wall, and I just had to bring it back up because there was nowhere for it to go.
Yeah.
So, and I was just so tired. I had absolutely no energy. I was just like, I'm just wasting away. Went to my checkup. I wasn't going to say anything. It wasn't until my husband was like, he was like, I'm coming with you, and you are telling them like what's going on. Which thank God he did, because they were like, right, you need to not be sick for the next, I think they said 48 hours, and I was like, I can't even go 48 minutes without being sick. Like that's not going to happen. So they said 48 hours. If you're sick, you have to come back in. So I was like, right, I'll see you tomorrow then. So obviously I was sick. I went in, and they did like all the checks and stuff, and they were like, something's obviously not right. And I was like, you don't say. They sent me for a CT scan just to check that everything was looking okay after surgery, and the surgeon checked the results afterwards, and he was like, I'm not happy with that, so we need to go in just like laparoscopically and just have a little look around. I was like, oh, okay, fine. And then I went down to surgery, and then I came round, and I was so confused. I felt like I had been dead to the world for like days. The surgeon came to see me, and he was like, yeah, that was not good. He said, I think I was in there for like 7.5 hours. I was in there a long time. So basically, he went in, he said they found an issue and they had to do further investigations, and they found that my bowel had fused to my abdominal wall and I had complete bowel obstruction, which is why whenever I was even drinking water, it wasn't going anywhere. It was literally hitting a brick wall. So, yeah. And that was because the first surgeon, when I had my bypass, he'd made a mistake and realised his mistake, put it right. And whatever he'd done, the scarring is what caused my bowel to fuse to my abdominal wall. But he didn't tell me what had happened. So,
So
in the
you weren't
day,
aware of the possible complications that you may have had.
no, in the days after surgery, if they'd said, like, this has happened, like, I wouldn't have left it a week before I'd said anything. I would have been straight in.
Mm.
But they didn't tell me. But they put it right, and here I am.
Still alive, still
Yeah.
kicking, still
Yeah.
screaming. I'm very intrigued
Mm.
by kind of like what they offer as aftercare in the UK compared to aftercare with Turkey.
Okay.
So obviously I went to Turkey. I was there for around just under a week.
Mhm.
Um, obviously because they need to keep you on track.
Yeah.
Um, they gave me the first 2 days was you had a spray bottle to spray your mouth, but you couldn't drink anything.
Mhm.
And the second 2 days after that were you've got a cup of water, just take small sips
Yeah.
as and when. And then the last 2 days was okay, you got this cup of water, sip it, but it needs to be gone within this time. And then they were slowly introducing clear liquid, like chicken broth, beef broth. They did high protein apple juice, which tasted like
Okay.
onions. When you think apple juice, you think, oh, nice, sweet, refreshing.
Yeah.
This was like onions and go away. So
Sounds delicious.
I am very intrigued to know what kind of like aftercare you had after your surgery, how long roughly you were in hospital for. Because did you just say you were in for 24 hours after?
Yeah, 24 hours. I mean, I was in a little bit longer, but that was mainly because I was waiting for my prescription of all like the like vitamins and all that jazz you need to have afterwards, and like the painkillers and the fragment injections. The prescription just wasn't ready, so I had to wait a few more hours. But yeah, it's pretty much 24 hours and you're home.
Did they
My
give you any kind of like, we got a booklet of this is what you should be doing, this is stage one, stage two, stage three. Did you get that as well?
Yeah, so we got a booklet, but I feel like yours was probably more in depth than what I got. I mean, my week after surgery went completely out the window anyway because of what I've just said. But yeah, they didn't really. monitor. So when I came round for my first surgery, they just kind of like plonked a protein shake in front of me and was like, drink that. And I was like, okay. How long should I take? So I tried to drink it and it really didn't go down well, but now I know why.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean the protein shakes in general aren't the best. They gave you like a list of what ideally you should bring. They were like whatever protein stuff that you're going to be wanting to have after surgery.
yeah,
But if you didn't have any of that, they had some like mix match, whatever they had in like this little canteen area on the floor. They gave me one. I had a few sips and I was like, this isn't going to go down well. So
mm,
not for me, thank you. I mean, I bought a pouch from somewhere like Holland and Barrett,
mm,
and the one that I picked up, I don't know whether it because I was so soon out of surgery, my taste buds were all over the place, but I didn't like it. And then after a while, I ordered off TikTok Shop the My Protein
yeah,
variety box, and
yeah.
I literally went through all of them, and I was like, okay, so which one do I like best? And then I
See,
found the cranberry and raspberry one, which I've quite liked. So
I think that's the best one, but I bought the variety pack as well. I've still got some in the cupboard because I just really didn't like them, and I had my surgery in 2023. It's still there. You said about like your taste buds changing after surgery. Mine was horrific. Like it reminded me of being pregnant. I was talking to somebody yesterday on Instagram, and they were like saying about how they just had surgery, and their taste buds had changed, and I was like, yeah, it was horrific. Like the things that you usually like, you're eating it, and you're like, why does it taste like that? It's horrendous, and certain smells as well make me feel sick. It was awful.
yeah, so one thing that's got me so much since obviously like everything changing. I used to obviously I can understand why I probably don't like it very much anymore. So tomato ketchup, I used to have it on everything.
Mm,
Obviously, it's quite acidy.
yeah,
So I think that's the main reason why my body's off for it now. Um, but also, I used to hate tuna, hate it.
mm,
Now I seem to be having tuna mayo, jacket potato every single day for my lunch,
yeah,
and it hits the spot and it's lovely. And I'm just there like a year ago, I
yeah.
would not even touch tuna. It would never
It's
even
so
be in my
weird, isn't it?
cupboard. And now I've got about 6 cans stacked up.
I didn't used to like spicy things before surgery, and now I quite like spice. Like I can have hot stuff. It's really weird.
So how long were you on liquids for? How long did they say for liquids? Like after your first surgery before everything went wrong?
See, it's really hard to say because so I had my first surgery, then a week later I went in for my second surgery, and I was in hospital for 2 weeks on a drip. So I'm trying to remember. I think they said like a week on liquids and then 2 weeks on soft, I think. But
Right,
I completely like skipped all of that because of
because of
my
all your
issues.
complications. Yeah.
Yeah, I was literally I had to have, oh no, I don't want to go into it because I don't want to scare people, but it is my journey. So, I
Some
had to have,
people have a breeze. Some people have zero issues. Other
yeah,
people, sometimes it's inevitable, like pneumonia, or sometimes the surgeon makes
mm,
a mistake and it
mm.
happens.
I suppose it does go to show as well. You don't have to, like you say, go abroad to like all the horror stories you hear on the news, like people going abroad for surgery. It happens in the UK as well, like on
Yeah.
the NHS, which people think is going to be safe, but here we are. When I was in hospital, I couldn't keep any food down. They tried with like a feeding tube through my nose. I couldn't tolerate it because when the tube goes into your stomach, it just literally was just coming straight back up. So in the end, I had to have, they called it a TPN, which is a tube that goes in through your jugular vein, and you have to have it put in like in surgery in theatre. And I was hooked up to that for 24 hours. That was what was feeding me, 24 hours for like a week, 24 hours a day. So yeah, I completely skipped all the soft food stage, and then when I was finally better, they started giving me just normal food in hospital. So it's really hard to remember what what I was supposed to do because I didn't do it.
It is. It's very interesting because your first week, well, the first week was like introducing water and stuff like that into the diet.
Mm,
Then second week was kind of like clear liquids, broths came in,
Yeah.
and then it was after that it was 2 weeks on puree. Then it was 2 weeks on soft food. After that, you could introduce whatever you wanted,
Mm.
basically back into a normal diet. And then they were like, "Yep, stay away from alcohol, stay away from this, stay away from that." And I was like, "Absolutely not."
Yeah. Where's the fun
So
in that?
I think to be fair, I did wait quite a while before I
Yeah.
introduced alcohol again. But there was one stage just before Christmas where I was probably drinking half a bottle of wine every day.
Oh my God, yeah.
And it was because I've now put it to passive addiction.
Yeah.
So obviously, because I couldn't binge eat or
Hmm.
eat my feelings, I kind of like drank my feelings instead. And it was
Yeah.
like that hand to mouth, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? That action of, oh, well, I just have
Was that something you were aware of before surgery? Because I know, like, going through the NHS, like, we went through, like, group sessions where it was almost like therapy. Like, we would speak to dietitians and therapists and stuff like that, and they would, like, speak to us about this, like you said, like, passive addiction. So I was sort of aware of it.
I
Did
mean,
you know it could happen?
before surgery, not so much. I heard it mentioned a couple of times, not by anyone of power, like a surgeon or anything.
Mm.
I heard about it through like TikTok videos and stuff like that. But I just thought, oh yeah, that's never gonna be me. How has weight loss affected your day to day life? Is there a different dynamic in your friendships and relationships and work and stuff like that, or
I've been really lucky. It hasn't affected anything at all. Like I heard of before surgery that people would like lose friends, their relationships change and stuff like that. But all my friends and family have been nothing but supportive. Like they're my biggest cheerleaders. So I've been really, really lucky. So I'm
that's
very thankful for that.
what about your kind of like mental and physical changes? Is there anything that you've had to overcome, like a bad loss, or you've gained? Have you had to struggle mentally with
Mm.
that one?
So I've had a fair few stores. In fact, like I haven't lost any weight. I've probably lost like 2 pounds since end of October. So it's hard, but I've been taking my measurements as well. So I keep telling myself like your measurements are changing, your measurements are going down. So it's hard to get your head around that. Mentally and like how I've been in myself since I've lost weight, I don't think I've ever been happier, to be honest. You don't realize when it's such a struggle to lose weight and you just see the scales going up and up how much it actually affects you. And it was going on for so long that I thought, well, this is just who I am as a person. This is just how I feel. Like losing weight isn't going to change anything. But I actually feel so much more confident in myself, and not like like I'm not like obsessed with myself. Do you know what I mean? But I just feel happier.
Have
Yeah.
you reached kind of like the weight that you want to be, or do you want to lose any more weight, or are you wanting to kind of like tone it now, or
So I think I'm happy at my weight now, but that makes me want to lose a little bit more just because I know obviously it fluctuates. So
yeah,
I think if I lose a little bit more, then that'll give me some wiggle room.
yeah.
I mainly want to tone up now because I don't know if I can tone up because I've lost like just over 9 stone, so I've got loose skin and there's no toning that up. But my arms and stuff, I think I can tone up, and my bum could do with a little bit of help.
Did you get any judgment from anyone? Kind of like judged you for the easy way out in quotation
Mm,
marks? Because I know there's a lot of remarks, especially at the minute, getting thrown about saying that weight loss
mm.
surgery is the easy way out. Yeah, it's really, really
If
not.
only people knew. If only people
If
knew.
it looks from an outsider's point of view, oh, you just keep dropping weight.
Yeah,
But when you're in the mental state of it all, physical state of it all, and the day
yeah,
to day state of it all, you realise that it's a journey.
it really is. And like, I don't know about you, but in my head, I still feel like the person I was before surgery. that's why I just can't get over, like when I'm like looking at myself in the mirror, my head cannot catch up. It physically cannot catch up. And like sometimes my friends and family will like joke with me. They're not being horrible, but like, oh, you're going to take another selfie. And like, yeah, I am, because I literally cannot get my head around it. I can't get my head around it. And they did warn me about it before surgery, like your head will take a while to catch up. And I'm like 18 months post-op now. Like, when's it going to catch up? It's,
Body dysmorphia and
yeah,
imposter syndrome is
yeah,
a
massive.
it's a thing.
It really is. So I didn't get not so much judged, but when I would like tell people, there were a few comments like, "Oh, what? Why would you want to do that?" I was like, "Well, because I've tried everything. I've tried everything." Um, and it's like they would say stuff like, "Well, you're never going to be able to eat anything ever again." It's like, "Well, you can eat. You definitely can eat, because otherwise you die." Um, and I can't remember who it was, but I definitely remember somebody saying to me, "Well, what about all the loose skin that you'll have afterwards?" And it's like, to be honest, I'd rather that than live how I am now, so I'll take it. It's fine.
Yeah, definitely rather have loose skin over
Yeah.
a big
Yeah.
belly that you
Yeah.
can't see your proof anymore.
Yes.
Trying to
Yeah.
shave and you're just like.
Yeah. Yeah, the struggle is real.
So, was there any milestones, non-scale victories that you want to kind of like let everyone know so that they can actually look out for themselves as well?
Honestly, I have had, other than the initial problems, I've had nothing but good experiences. Like, it's just been an absolute breeze.
That's good.
And I've had loads of non-scale victories. Like being able to just go into any shop and just pick up some clothes, and you can buy them if you want, without having, you don't have to be like, oh, I have to go online and wait for the clothes to be delivered, and then they probably won't fit because they'll be too small and I have to send them back. You can.
See, the only thing that I'm going to have to disagree with you about that is before surgery, I was like a size 18 in clothes.
Mm,
And I'd go in to like Primark because it's cheap.
mhm,
I'd go in, I'd be like, oh, that looks really nice. I try and find my size, couldn't find it.
mhm.
Now I walk into a shop, still probably Primark. I'd be like, oh my god, that's really nice. And I'm like a size 6 to 8, and I look and I can't find it.
Yeah, all the small sizes are gone now.
All the big and all the small,
Yeah.
and you've got in the middle, which will
Yeah.
be still hanging off me, and I'm like, oh my god, the stress.
Something else is like fitting into an airplane seat and doing the seatbelt up and having some left over is amazing, because there's nothing worse than, like, obviously you're going on holiday, you're excited, but then you see the airplane seat and you think, oh god, like this is going to be awkward. When they say put the seatbelt back on, it's like, I can't breathe with it on. So being able to put the seatbelt on and have like that much left over is a very good feeling. Running around and being able to play with my daughter is amazing. She's very much like, let's go and do this, let's do that, let's play hide and seek. She wants to be doing stuff all the time, and like 2 years ago I'd have been like, oh god, I can, and you're just gonna be embarrassed of me. But now I'm like, yeah, come on, let's go. And she's like, race you to the end of the road, and I'm like, yeah, I'll win, but fine, let's go. Whereas like years ago I'd be like, oh god, no, I'll meet you there. I sleep better as well. Whereas it's weird, because before I lost the weight, I would always feel tired but never feel rested, even though I felt like I just slept all the time. Now my quality of sleep is so much better. Like when I wake up in the morning, I think I have actually slept last night, rather than like just feeling like a zombie all day, every day. I did a skydive.
She did just.
Yeah. Never in my life did I think I would be able to jump out of a plane, and I did it. And I didn't have to worry about the weight limit or anything like that. I was like way under the weight limit. Yeah, that was in October last year, I think it was. Literally the most incredible thing I've ever done.
I can
And
imagine.
it was so good. I was, honestly, I thought I was going to die where I was so scared before. But it was the best thing ever. And it was just like, just just topped it for me for being able to do it, for losing the weight. It was just incredible. So good.
Proud of you. Proud of you. Really, I'm
Thanks.
proud of you. Is there any
Honestly,
other things that you want to do?
I put my name down to run a 10k, and I always joke that I couldn't even run a bath before. So to be able to run 10k, that's going to be an achievement for me. So
Actually, this is a good question as well that I've just thought of. Because you obviously had yours on the NHS and everything like that, did
hmm
you still get support from your GP? Or was there any awkwardness or they don't want to help or...
they've been okay now. To start with, they were really reluctant to give me my B12 injections. Actually, I had to keep going back to the bariatric team at the hospital because even though they'd written to my doctor and said she needs to have B12 every 3 months, the doctors were like, "Well, her B12 levels aren't low," and it was just a constant battle. I was going in between them, and the bariatric team were like, "Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the levels are. She needs them every 3 months for the rest of her life. That's it. No argument." So that was a bit of an issue, but other than that, it's been all right. I have been to the doctors about other things. Like I remember, I can't remember what I went for, but it was about 6 months after surgery, and obviously my weight wasn't as low as it is now, so still needs to come down. And they were like, have you looked into losing weight? And I'm like, have you read
Have
my
you,
notes?
yeah, have you kept the record? Do
Yeah.
you
Like,
actually know
hello.
what's going on with me?
Yeah. So, other than that, they've been all right, to be fair. But I've heard stories about people who have been abroad that their GPs haven't been too helpful. What have you found with yours?
I've been very lucky to have the support of my GP.
That's good.
I do get some looks from nurses,
Mm.
like the actual ones that actually take my bloods. They'll be looking at my notes and they'll be there like, "What bloods are we having done?" I was like, "I don't know. You've got the papers,
Yeah.
not me."
Yeah. How would I know?
I don't know. So I do get some looks from some GPs that were like good
Mm.
nurses, and they're just like, But I've been quite lucky in that sense. But I do know quite a few people that have come back and their GPs have refused to help them
Mm. I've
completely.
heard stories about this. It's
Um,
scary, really.
it is to say that we're doing them a favour by saving them a fortune
Yeah.
on like loads of free bypasses and everything like that, and we're
Yeah.
paying for us to have it, and all we want you technically to do is do bloods, do B12, and
Yeah.
that's it.
And they say how much
You
money
know,
obesity is costing the NHS as well. It's just like you've done them a favour, really.
plastics. Is it something
Yes.
you're looking into? Is it something you're not bothered about? Is it something on the cards?
Um, so I always said that I wouldn't have it, mainly because my second surgery, I'm just traumatized by it. But I'm getting my head around it. I know I've now decided I will have plastics. When, I don't know, because I don't know when I will be brave enough to do it or have the money to do it. I don't fully know what type of plastics I would have either. I definitely want a tummy tuck because I do find that even though I've lost the weight, I've still obviously got the loose skin and I'm kind of still wearing certain clothes so that it's not so obvious.
Mm,
And I want to be able to wear what I want. Like
yeah.
I've done well, so why can't I wear what I want? And I don't. At the moment, I don't feel comfortable to wear what I want to wear. So yeah, I I will have plastics at some point, but when I don't know.
Would you have it in the UK or would you go to Turkey? Or, well, abroad, because I know
Abroad.
that Turkey isn't just the only place that does it. There's
Yeah,
like
so
classes like that, but
I'm not against going abroad because I know obviously there's a lot of horror stories, but also there's a lot of amazing surgeons in other countries for a lot cheaper than you can get it over here. So, and I've had a bad experience in the UK, so I may as well go abroad. The only thing that puts me off going abroad is the journey back afterwards, like feeling
yeah.
uncomfortable. That's all that puts me off, really.
It's been lovely chatting to you, and
Yeah,
I
it's been
will
great.
still message you and harass you every day.
Yes, that's fine. Please do. I love it.
Right
Thank
then,
you for
see you
having
later.
me.
No worries, anytime.
All
See
right.
you soon.
All right. Bye.
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 If you have a story to share, big or small, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me via email, lifewithjode@gmail.com, or via my social media at Jode's Gastric Bypass or at _lifewithjode_. These will all be linked in the description below. You can listen to my podcast on Podbean, Apple Music, Spotify, and YouTube, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And that's a wrap from me. I'll speak to you next week on another episode of Life with Jode. See you later.